Sunday bites and tidbits. This life they'll help you live it and get yourself together. Sunday bites and tidbits.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
You guys. Of course, I always say this, but I'm going to say it again. You are so beautiful.
And so are you, sweetheart.
And so are you, and so are you. And I'm sure whomever's looking at us, you're beautiful too.
You're beautiful, and you are enough. And it's good to know that. So I want to pop us off right away with our hot topics. Again, lots going on in the world. So I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Chef Babette. What do you have on your mind today? What's your hot topic today?
Well, my hot topic today is, well, you know, I'm all over the politics thing. I am just dying for Donald Trump and our new president to have a debate. I'm just got my fingers crossed, legs crossed, everything crossed, because I don't know. I was listening to something the other day and they were playing chicken sounds when Donald Trump was talking. So anyway.
That is so ugly.
I know.
That's so ugly. Look at me laughing. Sorry. That's bad.
But I was listening to that this morning on how they said maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't.
I know.
It'll be very interesting,
Yeah.
Well, some people are saying, go ahead, baby.
No, I was just saying that would be one that everybody's going to watch.
Oh, yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
Some people are actually saying that he is trying to torpedo himself at this point, like he's kind of given up. I don't know if that's really the case, but that's kind of some of the, MSNBC and some of the people talking about like inside his, they're saying like he's like trying to lose at this point.
I didn't hear that, and I'm listening to that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of the if you kind of look at some of the scuttlebutt coming out of his camp, that's
Right.
what they're saying. Though they might be saying that, preemptively to say, well, if he loses, he lost on purpose.
Oh yeah.
I don't care if you lose on purpose.
However, just lose.
We just couldn't hurt him in. And I'm so silly. We're driving around today because y'all know I live in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Hey.
Right.
And we saw a Harris Waltz, sign in the yard because everybody got signs in the yard.
Right.
I'm so silly. I was like, Mitchell, pull over. I want to go knock on their door.
No, you didn't.
You want to do what? Pull over. You want to do what?
Knock on their door. Hello. Hi.
That is really funny, Sylvia.
But in this day and age, somebody knocks on your door, you like, when I was a kid, people always came over.
Yeah, but nowadays it's like, yeah, right. What did you want? Right. It's true. It's true. You are so funny.
I'm just being real. So, Miss Tara, what's on your mind today, sister?
I have been really in I've really been in a moment of just me and honoring me and being with me and really watching my progress in the midst of this transition that I'm going through, kind of just patting myself on the back and giving me some love, that's my hot topic is me.
Wow. I love that because honestly, people talk about, well, you can loving yourself, that people have a thing that they kind of have a thing they feel that means that you're being self-absorbed or whatever. But the reality is, even from a scriptural perspective, God, even he loves us because he first loved, right? We love him because he loved us. So it's kind of like, and you can't really love anybody else until you love you. Because
that's for sure.
You have to love you first.
That's a big amen.
You can't give something away you don't have.
No, you can't.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So that's really cool. And by the way, let's love on Miss Tara right now.
Yeah, thank you. Some love.
Some love. I have see my shirt. See my shirt.
Fort Smith International Film Festival, Film Market.
Yeah, this was so much fun. It started Thursday, I believe. They had a bunch like off-site things we're opening a performing arts school here. It's going to start in kindergarten. and it's going through high school. And so they've been having a lot of stuff. There's a lot of support around that. But the festival, this is the 4th year. I've been a judge every year, but this is the first time I actually participated on a panel. And it was really funny because the guy who runs it is a friend of mine named Dr. Brandon Goldsmith. And he hits me up every, hey, here's your list of movies to watch and whatever. But I'm not really around for the festival. I'm out of town or I'm working or whatever. Well, this year I was like, I'm here. I'd like to be more involved. I moderated 8 panels.
See?
But you're so good at all that. I mean, look,
You are.
right
Still,
now.
it was back to back to back to, I was like, what? So, you don't really get to watch the movies when you're moderating panels, right? But
Yeah.
to be clear, it was so much fun. It was casting. We talked about casting. We talked about just filmmaking in general. So I got to meet some of the filmmakers, and we had a people of color panel.
Really?
Had filmmakers in from Atlanta, from Mississippi.
Nice.
We had a filmmaker in from Japan. Who flew
Wow.
to Japan. It was great, and it was great to talk about. And a young lady who came, I think she came from Bentonville, but she's Asian. The idea was to talk about kind of what we deal with in the film industry, and then what we create, as people of color. And it was the whole thing was, it was just really fun. So that's my hot topic. I had a blast, met some great people, and got an audition out of it. So I have an audition.
Congrats.
You know what's wonderful? I'm sorry, honey. What's wonderful is I think of each of us as, in our field of expertise, we know so much, Babette, you know so much about your world, and to be able to, Sylvia, to be able to do casting panels and head up directing and producing and acting and writing and being a person of color, and you can really talk from a plethora of experience and offer that to others. So kudos to people who do what we do and do it to the fullest and give to others. Every time I come on the show, I got the hiccups from something.
What is that?
Because I am today eating my leftover ramen from last night from Ma Kim, because I went there and their ramen is so good. I know you like my ramen better, Babette.
I do.
Wait,
I
say
love
their
your
name
ramen.
again. Say the name again.
Ma Kim vegan sushi. It is.
Is that where you took me?
No, you've never been here yet.
You didn't take me
This is
there?
where I
You
want
got to go though. It's
This is
excellent.
all sushi, like everything you ever wanted from any other sushi place. They have it all on the menu. But
And it's all plant-based.
yeah, and what's so funny, the other day, Red Foo, I think I told you we had our karaoke night, and Red Foo was there, and he's Barry Gordy's son. He sang that song, Party Rockers in the house tonight, and sexy, and I know it. So he brought a friend there, and his friend was not vegan, so he did not tell the friend that the food was vegan, because you can't tell when you look at it. It looks like salmon, it looks like tuna, so the guy's just eating and enjoying the sushi. So at the very end, I said, so how'd you like it? He goes, oh my God, it was delicious. I said, did they tell you? He goes, yeah, they told me at the end, and there was no fish in here anyway. So he had no clue.
Wow.
And
I love that. I love it.
Because you're not getting all that poisonous oceany stuff in your system.
Well, this is a nice little segue, because I often think of making the choice to be plant-based or to live a vegan lifestyle, vegan way of eating, vegan way of being, as an act of kindness. To me, that's
it is.
So talking about being vegan makes me think of kindness, because in my head and in my heart, choosing to live a plant-based life is an act of kindness. We're being kind to our bodies, we're being kind to the environment, and we're being kind, obviously, to the animals, which leads me to let you know how excited I am about our guest today. Yay! She is a kind human, and she's just the most lovely person. I can't wait for you guys to meet her, but I'm not going to tell you who she is yet.
well, hold your horses, take a deep breath, because right after we watch a couple of her videos, so you can get to know her yourself, we're going to be right back with our guest.
Hi guys, and we're back. Wasn't that amazing? The things that kindness can accomplish in the world. I just can't wait for you to meet her. So I'm not exactly sure how to tell you who she is. Because I've had the privilege of working like with her. I'm a part of the board of kindness.org. And she's just, her passion for kindness, it's, for me, it's contagious. The first time I met her, it was like, this is a person who takes kindness so seriously. It's the air. It's like the air that she breathes. It's not a thing that she does. It's who she is. She is the CEO and co-founder of kindness.org. She's raised over $100 million for multiple nonprofits. She just got back from the DNC. There's just so many things. What she's building and what she's doing in the world with her Kind Lab and her Kind Learn. All you guys are going to hear about all of that. But most importantly, she is one of.
Y'all got to stop for a sec. I'm sorry. Your eyelash is not correct.
Oh, my eyelashes bother me, right? Yeah, I'm trying to fix it.
I can't see it on my thing.
Oh, there it is. I fixed it.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's so much
Yeah, it
better.
was
I'm
bothering
sorry.
me.
I'm
No, I'm
sorry,
glad you
honey.
stopped. I was just gonna suck it up. Babette, I could just give you some sugar. And you know what? We should just tell our folks, yo, my eyelash was acting crazy. And Babette was like, baby girl. See, there's people who love you. People who love you say, you got some in your teeth. They say, baby, your lace is lifted. They say, baby, your eyelash is clumped. You looking crazy. But
I agree.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you that I'm so glad you did that, because that is an act of kindness.
It's an act of kindness.
Being nice would have been not saying anything.
That's true.
That's the difference between being nice and being kind. Okay, let's keep.
True.
We're gonna bring her on. We're just gonna
All right.
bring her on. Her name is Jaclyn Lindsey.
Oh.
It's a video.
Oh, hi. Yay. Oh.
Oh my gosh, we've heard so many wonderful things about you. This is going to be the best time.
So first of all, welcome. We're so happy that you're here.
Yeah.
How I feel about you. I want to talk about all the things. I want to know. I think the number one thing I would love to know I would love for you to share with the people that I already know is what sparked your kindness journey. We're just going to jump right in. What was the thing, not why you started the company or co-founded it, but what sparked kindness as a significant, intentional part of your life? What was the thing that triggered that?
All right, let's do it. My parents, I would definitely start with my parents. My father is an immigrant, and we grew up very poor, but they never focused on money. We were very rich in spirit, is what I say. They focused on character and equity and the idea that every human is worthy of listening and time, and their story matters. And I wouldn't have called it kindness. I don't even know if they said the word kindness, but it was the actions. It was the love they gave to everyone we interacted with. It was a dinner table with diverse perspectives, and just being a child in that environment, seeing the way we lived to care for every person. I really would say it began with my parents.
Can I jump in there really quick, just based on what you said? Because, you know, we often talk, several of us, about how, I use the word blueprint, how we're given our parents' blueprint from somebody else's stuff. And unfortunately, so many of our parents, you know, had blueprints that are kind of broken or dysfunctional, and then they pass that down. Was there something that you know of in your parents' upbringing that they came together with the same consciousness to then decide to raise kids with this consciousness? Because so often parents are also not equally yoked in that way. You know,
Yeah.
Do you know if there was anything that sparked the two of them to be those people?
I love that question, because I carry my own dysfunction from the blueprint they gave me. So I want to say I celebrate the good they gave, and I absolutely acknowledge and have had to forgive the difficult parts that they gave me from their own blueprint. My father grew up fatherless and was mostly raised by his grandmother, and overcompensated by becoming my friend, which wasn't the healthiest thing. So that's been the area we've had to work through. And my mother comes from an alcoholic and abusive home. And my parents split up when I was quite young, but the theme of kindness and humanity was in both of their homes. And I think what their commitment was is we want to do better by you than our parents did by us. Even if we stumble, even if we're getting it wrong, even if we're still sending you to therapy because of what we've, given to you. And I think what it's been has been recognizing, I love that word blueprint, like recognizing we are all carrying the past. And yet we're making choices for what we're going to do to change the future.
Lovely,
I
lovely,
love
lovely.
that. I love that. Babette, did you have anything you wanted to ask, or do you want us to?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I'm so excited that you're on the show with us today. Kindness is huge for me. I practice, I live a plant-based lifestyle. And when I went plant-based initially, it had nothing to do with anybody other than myself and how I was feeling. But then as time went on, I understood the oneness. It became more and more clear to me, our oneness and the importance of loving the whole. So I really, really, really can't wait to get into it with you today. And thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you, Babette. Thank you, all of you. I'm truly honored to be with you.
Well, so I have 1,000 questions. but I'm gonna just start with one more. We'll do them one at a time. How about that?
Right.
Kindness, the definition of kindness. How do you define kindness, Jaclyn?
I think it changes day to day depending on what's happening in my life and the world around me. But I will say right now, kindness feels courageous, and it's going to bat for the thing that's right, even when it's hard. And that's really hard to do sometimes. But that's what's demanded of us. So that's how I think about it. At kindness.org, we think of it differently, but me as the human and the person here with you today, I would say kindness is courageous.
I can, that's really, for me, it aligns very much with what's happening in my moment right now, my personal moment, and in my observation of what's happening in the world, particularly here in America, but what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And the idea that kindness, and you and I've talked about this many times, but the idea that kindness is somehow a soft skill, or that it's easy, or that it's weak, is nuts. Forgive me for saying that, but it is, because it takes discipline and courage to be kind, particularly when you are in the face of folks who are being ugly to you. And it's interesting. Yes, my love.
No, I have a question based on that. Because a lot of people, when you think of kindness, you think of, okay, no matter what happens, I just have to be kind. I have to just keep my mouth shut. I'm going to just try to turn the other cheek. And so often find yourself in a position where you're being trampled on all the time. How do you, in your meaning of kindness, or the word kindness, how does those two worlds go together? For someone to say, I'm being kind, and I'm this kind person, and somebody's always saying something bad or hurting my feelings, and I'm just trying to find the kind way. Can I just curse them out once in a while? So that's my question. Where's the line drawn?
Okay. So one, I try to always encourage people to separate the idea of kindness from polite, nice, courteous, because they are not the same at all. You know, turning the other cheek or keeping your mouth shut might not be the kind thing. Sometimes, you know, to stand up for justice, that means sometimes you have to stand up to a bully, someone who's causing an injustice. And that might take strength in a way that might not be seen as kind. But to me, that's the ultimate act, is when you're willing to do that. And this might seem like a silly example, but it's one that just seems people to really get right away. When you are nice, you don't tell someone when they have food in their teeth. You're like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to embarrass them. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. But the kind thing is to say, you got a little spinach in your teeth, and I'm going to tell you and be uncomfortable so you're not out there talking to people with food in your teeth. And so that can be brought to any situation. It's hard to give feedback to a subordinate or a team member or an equal, a peer. But if you're making them better, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's okay to be comfortable in the name of helping that person thrive, be their best self. So that's the lens that I would encourage us to look at it. It doesn't always mean keeping your mouth shut.
Good.
I have to share this. Tara and I were together, and there was a person on our flight that had soiled their pants. I mean, like, it almost looked like poop soil. And I saw it and I was like, oh, they soiled their pants, their outside pants, and were deplaning. And I just had to tell them. I just had to whisper, "You soiled your pants." Now, I don't know where that person went, if they were able to wrap a sweatshirt around them or what, but I would want so badly for someone to bless me with that information, you know, but it's difficult for people because there was more than myself that saw it. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ultimate act of kindness is, the nice thing would have been to not have said anything.
Yeah.
When you look up the etymology of the word nice, Jaclyn and I again have talked about, it's not good. It's not, the word, I describe it as a mask for evil, a mask for ugly, because you can be nice and be very acceptable, be very social acceptable. But when you're kind, that's making the hard choice, like you did, Babette. Or like you did right before our audience knows, but Jaclyn, you don't know this. I had a lash that had a mind of its own that was going all directions. And Babette was like, okay, we gotta stop. Because you cannot get, and I said to them, that's an act of kindness. To not have said anything would have been being nice. And that's, I think, again, to Tara's point, the delineation, and I think people often get this confused, is I just need to be nice. I need to just not say anything, or I need to just let them run over me. But my favorite example is the way Jesus walked through the earth. He was meek. Meek means quiet power. But he wasn't weak. And when you have to stand up and say something, Babette, or when you have to do something, the act you just talked about, Jaclyn, or the question that you asked, Tara, that takes strength and discipline and power and intention, which brings me to my next question, Jaclyn. Talk to us a little bit about the impetus to begin kindness.org and how it differs in terms of its ethos from this idea of random acts of kindness.
Well, I also feel with my parents, they instilled in me a lot of ambition to help the world. So I think it's part me, nature versus nurture kind of always equals out. But from a young age, I just knew I wanted to help people. At 8 years old, I wanted to be first woman president. So I would go around telling people my plan and could I count on your vote? And, you know, I just was very passionate about this idea of leading, but for good. And in middle school, I started experiencing some bullying for the first time. And I was quite resilient, I felt, but I wasn't prepared for the onslaught of relentless bullying that I started to experience. And it started to really affect my mental health. And that led to depression. And then that led to drug addiction. And really any outlet I could find to just feel good about myself, because I was so sad and I felt so bad about who I was. And all my ambitions and dreams and passions went out the window. And it was a matter of survival for several years. And I went through a really difficult time at 19 with an overdose through the drug addiction, and knew I had to change. And that is when faith came into my life, and I forever changed. I never looked back. I became a new creation, if you will. And since then, it's been 20 years since that journey began. And it's been a journey of healing and wholeness and sobriety, and in it finding my why, because it was no longer first woman president, who, let's hope. So it was no longer that, but it was still about helping people. And the through line I realized was kindness. And it was how I wanted to show up, how I felt God had showed up for me, how I felt I wanted to help people show up for each other. It was just all about human kindness first, no matter your color, your age, your location, your orientation. Kindness is the thing that can connect us if we can love each other in that way.
Yeah.
So I took a leap of faith, and stepped out and started what is now kindness.org.
Wow, that's wonderful. And when you think of someone like yourself, I had no idea of all of that backstory. You know what I mean? And there's such a common thread with so many of us because of the blueprint that most of us were given I know, especially as people of color, African Americans, just the madness we went through years ago, and especially our men. How do these men become fathers and have healthy lifestyles when they've been beaten and battered everywhere they go? So they bring that here. So the dysfunction just keeps passing down, and we don't have the tools. If I had the tools I have now, like if you had the tools that you have now, you would have navigated that so differently, and it would have, not that it would have gone away, but you would know how to navigate it. And I think, the one thing I love about this show is really hearing the stories of people who made a pivot, at some point, no matter what that pivot is, that they said, I'm not doing this anymore. And I've got to figure out a way to do my work so I can become this next version of myself. So I just applaud anyone who's made it over that obstacle, because it's not always easy. And so many of us do not do the work to make that happen. So congratulations. And thank you for sharing kindness with the world, kindness.org with the world, because we need some, please.
We do. We do. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but right now, what we need is to take a break.
Yes.
Okay. Our sponsors a chance to help us pay some bills.
Kindness is just one of those words. I don't know. Kindness is kindness.
Kindness is connection. Powerful.
Intelligence.
Nurturing.
Performative. Happiness.
Selfless.
Easy.
Fun.
The choice.
Accessible.
Together.
Kindness is universal.
Kindness is helping someone else feel heard.
To honor and acknowledge and celebrate somebody.
Recognizing other people.
The decision to put someone else before yourself.
Actually trying to understand what is going on in someone else's life.
It's something that you'll keep in your heart.
Kindness, love.
Living openly.
Is a way to build trust between two people.
Positive difference.
Being courageous. Contagious, basically.
Kindness is doing unto others as you would want done unto you.
Kindness is something that is part of your daily life.
Choosing to look at somebody instead of looking away.
That there's safety
for whoever you're with to be vulnerable.
so that we can learn about each other's stories.
Experiencing life with other living beings.
Giving up your time for somebody else.
Saying, hey, like, I care about you.
I see you.
Respecting how everyone's feeling.
And being gracious to others.
But also caring for yourself.
Kindness is inspiring and motivating. Makes everybody feel better. I know you feel better when you're kind to somebody. Don't lie.
And we're back. This has already been such an enlightening, empowering, and just inspirational time. Again, so happy that you're here, Jaclyn. It's just, it's such a blessing. Chef Abed, I know you had something you wanted to ask.
I did. As I'm listening to her journey, I'm identifying with certain parts of her journey that I also experienced. And I know when I made the decision to never, ever, ever do a certain thing anymore, it feels to me like that is when I began to understand the importance of loving self. Did you too begin to understand how important you were in the grand scheme of things, in terms of the whole, how important that it's just a mere expression of the intelligence that created all of it. And so often we don't realize our connection with that. So can you speak to that for a second?
Yes, absolutely. And there's two ways I'm seeing it. One, if you'll allow me, I'll be very vulnerable, and I haven't shared this publicly very much, but one of the things I was really teased for being poor, but really it was this idea that I was just a very ugly girl, and it was done in very mean ways. This idea of my identity was somehow tied to what I look like. And apparently I was a very ugly thing to look at. And so fast forward to, so someone asked me, what do I say to myself when I look in the mirror? And I said, they asked me this just last year as a 40-year-old. And I said, easy. I say, good morning, ugly. And it was this moment where I realized decades later, after my healing and my faith and all the things I've done to get right with myself, I had not actually changed my own narrative of what these people told me I was. I was still saying this to myself. And so part of it, to answer that question, has been recognizing to love. What does it mean to love? What does it mean to see who you are in that, lens of faith and love and connection with all, and see you as the person you see when you look at everyone. I see everyone as a beautiful human, and yet I didn't realize I didn't see myself like that. So that has been probably the biggest thing I've had to work through and overcome since that time.
That's beautiful, though. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. Do you know how many people you've touched just because you admitted to that? Thank you. Thank you for your honesty.
And it's so funny because when you said that, Jaclyn, I just went, what? Because I don't see, but I can, like Babette could identify with one part of your story. I can identify with that because growing up, my sister was the pretty sister and I was not. And I remember we were on a train one day and these guys were sitting across from us and one of them said, oh, those two look like sisters, but that's the pretty one. And so I never saw myself as pretty. Look at your face. I never saw myself as anything. It's just, I was just there, So there was so much of my blueprint. That's why I started a program, and I'm just going to put a little plug, redesigning your blueprint and rewriting your script. Because in order to, after you understand that I've been living on a blueprint that other people gave me, what do I want to live now? I've got to rewrite this script. I got to redesign myself. But even though you do that, one day another week from now, you may have to dive back in again because the tape has been playing so long, you don't even realize it's just what you run with. And it's constant. You never actually get to the place of where it's gone. You've learned to manage it, you know? And I think that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I was trying to not to have my little eyeliner run because I just felt for you when you said you look in the mirror and see that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just, I'm still almost feel like crying because I understand, you know, but I just, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because it doesn't really matter how many people tell you it's not true. It doesn't really matter how many people tell you, you are so beautiful. You are gorgeous. You are beautiful. You are whole. You are, if you're not, the act of kindness for you is for you to say it to you. And the voice that you believe more than anyone else's is your own. So when that's going on and on and on in your head, it's convincing you of something, even on a subconscious level, that's activating certain chemicals in your brain and activating certain chemicals in your body that are toxic. And they lead you to even physical illness, which is one of the reasons I'm so excited about what kindness.org is doing about educating folks regarding the science of kindness. And I would love if you would share with us, just really dive into that, because I don't think people really know what that is.
Yes, absolutely. When we started, the gap in the kindness space that I found is a lack of evidence, a lack of research. And so I wanted to change the narrative. I wanted, just like we're doing, you know, kindness is not butterflies and hearts. It's not weak. It's hard. It's hard to forgive. Forgiveness is one of the greatest acts of kindness, how difficult it can be to forgive somebody. And so I felt the strength and bigness of it, but I knew if this would become mainstream on the public agenda, something that could be not just featured in, you know, a certain kind of media outlet known for the softer side of media, but really rigorous media and could be showcased in a way that people believed it. I knew we had to start with the science. I knew that that would be critical. So from day one, we've committed to using science as the foundation for everything that we do. I had theoretically, you know, assumed kindness was a strength and would stand the test of time. But the more I actually learned and the more we've done research and studied just how big and potent this thing is, I'm talking about something that is considered the most effective way to improve the entire general population's well-being is to bet on kindness. It's the only thing that can simultaneously improve the mental health of two people, because a kind act affects you as the giver and the receiver. You put a witness in there, you've got a 3-for-1 for a single kind act. We're all affected in that moment as a mental health boost. We're talking about blood pressure, stress levels, relationships, healing. If people are activating kindness toward any modern problem, homelessness, for example, the water crisis, you know, anything, it's about tapping into this idea that we're choosing it, we're responding. A lot of people talk about empathy, and I say empathy is wonderful, and I don't want to ever undermine it, but you can stop to help the homeless person or step over them. You might feel for them when you step over them, but you're not acting on it. I want people to act. I want them to do something with what they feel inside. And that's the thing the science shows us. It's about the action and the choice and the behavior. And every single act makes a difference. And so we just need more of it more often. And the science shows us every part of our life will be better as a result.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
Michael Beckwith said one time that if we could make peace profitable, guns would go away, war would go away, right?
Yeah.
I am going to submit that if we could make kindness profitable, it would take over the planet. But here's the thing, it is. That's the big secret. Kindness is profitable. It does affect the bottom line. And for those of you watching who are more kind of cerebral and like, well, kindness is good and that's a nice thing to do, and we feel like that's important and people should be kind to each other, but when it comes to business, you have to, and I've had people say that to me on sets. Well, you can't be an executive producer and be kind. I can't be an executive producer and not be kind if I want to be effective. What you don't want me to be, what you don't want me to do is start being nice.
Yep.
That's what you don't want. But when it comes to the profitability factor, what we've learned and what I've learned from Jaclyn is how it affects the bottom line. And Jaclyn, I don't want you to like, you don't have to do a whole like kind of stunt or commercial, but that part's important for those who are watching this, who are hearing you, but going, yeah, that's nice, but I need to make some, I need to make my business successful. Can you just for a quick second speak to that?
Yep. Kinder companies improve shareholder value. It improves retention, employee engagement, and in an incredibly robust study with 6 companies across all sectors you can imagine, employees cared more about the kindness of the culture than what they were being paid. And it's not to say that we shouldn't pay well. It's saying you can put benefits and pay people well, but if you're not treating them well, it doesn't matter. So when you want to invest in a better business, be kind.
I can attest to that because I do a lot of projects over the years, and I would say 99% of the time I can go back to the same people who will show up, whether it's $2, whether it's $500, because it's the experience, it's how they feel when they walk away. It's the camaraderie, it's community that a lot of folks just want to enjoy what they're doing, and find it with a group of people who are one and the same in that way. So I totally agree. Now, do you mind if I ask this? How do you, when you go into, like say do you work with organizations? Do you work with businesses? What do you give them? How do you teach them? What do you offer them? Like what would be, without giving your information away, because I know what is it that you do to get them on the right path?
Yeah, it's largely education. And we work with their leadership team. And over the years, I will say it's morphed. And I think right now, and we're heading, so it's most resonant or relevant for the audience. You can come to us and we partner with you to build a kinder company. And kinder like activate the kindness within your consumer base and attract new audiences.
Jaclyn,
so it's largely.
Jaclyn, can you go and say, come to us and build, because you cut out?
Yes, I'm so sorry about this, ladies. People come to us and we. Okay. So we work with companies to activate their employees, consumers, and attract new audiences to their brands. And it's largely through education and workshops and campaign development.
Wow.
That's Tara, I'm going to say something right here. I'm going to insert this really quickly. You talked about people wanting to work with you and being able to go back to those same people. Both Babette and I can attest to the fact that it's not just because we are like-minded creatively. People want to do what you do and want to do what they do with you. But the important part is they want to do it with you. That's what's important. And the reason they want to do it is because of what you just said. Maya Angelou, I think it was Maya Angelou. We'll have to, you guys, if I'm attributing this quote to the wrong person, please tell us in the comment. You won't remember, people won't remember what you did or what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel.
Wow.
That is the mantra of kindness.
I know that you were at the DNC, and I know there's some things you cannot share, but is there anything you can share with us for those who are watching kind of like on the TVs, wishing we were a fly on the wall in some of those rooms? I mean, I know it was just the most exhilarating feeling, but what could you share with us about actually being there?
Okay, well, I'm so sorry to burst the bubble, but I was in Chicago attending a statehood luncheon with the events of the DNC, but I didn't make it into the convention itself. So I know I am so, I do want to just clarify that. But the statehood luncheon that I attended, I'm very proud to share some of the details. This included guests like Jesse Jackson and the governor of Puerto Rico, and incredible celebrities and mayors and state representatives and Congress people, all there in the name of kindness and equity. This luncheon was called A Case for Kindness and Equity, and it was in collaboration with Stephen Sowlich.
You cut out again. This luncheon was called? Okay.
This luncheon was called A Case for Kindness and Equity. And it was about elevating our dialogue in this country, in this moment, to remind us it isn't us and them. We're all citizens of this country. And if we can show up choosing kindness and putting equity on the map and on the agenda, that is what we need right now. And so it was a message of unifying. And what was felt from that entire state luncheon and the whole energy in Chicago was one of hopefulness, one of joy, one of excitement. And it really was, for the first time, I felt a time where it wasn't about what color you were or representing. It was saying we are people, we're part of this country, we want to build a better world together collectively. And that was the biggest takeaway. And let's do it in the name of human kindness.
Wow, that's a blessing.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
What's exciting to me is that that's a political event.
I know.
We're talking about kindness not being a soft skill.
I know.
They're talking about kindness at the DNC.
I know.
It's crossing all platforms.
Yes.
Politics,
Yes.
entertainment, everything.
Yes.
It's just a beauty. And how great is it that they had you there? That is just, I mean, it's really outstanding. So we're about to wrap up. Couple more things to do. Babette, I'm going to bounce it to you really quickly. And then we're going to, unfortunately, wrap up this beautiful episode.
Well, basically, all I have to say is I've been given a gift today. I did not know you prior to this conversation, and I've been certainly gifted. Just I see your heart, and you are absolutely gorgeous. So thank you so much.
Amazing. That's amazing. Jaclyn, if your life this month, this week, or this morning were, if you had to title it for a book, what would that title be?
You can always never stop being curious, and even when it's hard, always choose kindness would be the in parentheses.
That's
Perfect.
a great title.
Perfect.
I want to read that book.
Perfect.
I want to read that book.
I love that.
I love it too.
No matter what age, it's
right.
Be curious about what that is. It also keeps your brain working, you know,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
it also sends you on a quest to be better. So
Yes.
guys, never stop being curious. Get her book. That's not out yet.
Get her book. That's not out yet, but we just put it into the universe.
Right.
It exists now,
Yeah.
Jaclyn. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We love you. You know we love you. Jaclyn, it has just been, you know, we could spend another hour just listening to you.
Right.
Just absolutely, just what a blessing you are. What a gift you are to the world. I am grateful to God for you and for your presence on this planet. Okay, so guys, we're going to wrap up with, you know what we're going to say.
Yeah.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Little reminder, nobody can do you better than you.
And guys, remember, there's nobody that can do you better than you.
Nobody can do you better than you.
Jaclyn, will you remind them?
Nobody can do you better than you.
Love it.
We love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank
Much,
you.
Jaclyn. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Oh, wait, no.
Oh.
Jaclyn, where can people find you?
Yes. She
Oh,
froze.
yes.
Wait.
Go to kindness.
Take that again.
Yeah.
Let's take that again, Olivia. Do that. Just before you do that, just say, is there any last thing you'd like to share with them?
That's right. That's right. Jaclyn, before we sign off, is there anything you want to leave with the folks? Any, like a little nugget you want to share with them?
Every kind act makes a difference, no matter how small, is what I remind everybody of. World Kindness Week is in November, launching 1 week after the presidential election, and we have some big things we're going to be kicking off. So follow us on social, come engage with us. You don't want to miss it. Be a part of what's happening. And yeah, thank you for having me.
And where can people find you?
Oh, so visit kindness.org. We have a take action page that guides you through all of our resources for whatever you're needing or looking for. It can be for your children, for your own personal life, your workplace, everything's there on our website. We're really active on social, so engage with us there. We write back to every email, hello@kindness.org. If you want to send feedback or ask any questions, we'd love to get you involved.
And we're excited at Sunday Bites and Tidbits because somehow we're going to be partnering with you guys doing something great for the world. So guys, make sure you tune in each week. We have some great guests, and this was one of the best. And thank you so much for sharing and being open and honest. And guys, go on and have a kind day. Turn that into a kind week. Turn that into a kind month. And then it just kind of takes off like that.
There you go.
Bye.